Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today's topic is going to be 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. Yes, I did record this once before, but I have some additional new information, and the recording I did, my opinion, was very grainy, and we're going to redo it so you can get the information. Essentially, the 7 trumpets play, or the 7 seals play over 7 years, the 7 trumpets play over 7 months, and the 7 vials play over the last 7 days. And we're going to explore that today. Welcome to the Prophecy Club. So what we're going to talk about today is the 7-year tribulation, specifically the seals, trumpets, and vials. And I'll give you some revelations that I've got that I think are really awesome. I wish I'd had them years and years ago. Anyway, let's look at this. First of all, let's look at an overview. The 7 in the top left corner, right up here, if you can see my cursor, that represents from here across the top 7 years, because that's one of the revelations that God spoke to my heart. I mean, I didn't hear an audible voice, but it just popped in my brain, and I never thought of that before. But as I line it all out, as I've studied it all out and graphed it all out, it all seems correct. And I might say of the congregation members that have seen this, they're right on. They think it's correct too. So anyway, what the Lord told me is that the 7 seals play over a 7-year period, whereas the 7 trumpets play over a 7-month period, whereas the 7 vials play over a 7-day period. That's really, really big, and we're going to talk about why that is. So, once again, 7 seals, 7 years, 7 trumpets, 7 months, 7 vials, 7 days. Now, I'm going to zoom in here, and we're going to quickly go through this a little bit closer, if I can do this right here, if I've got this down. One of the things that my mind has changed on is what the white horse is. I used to think the white horse was the Pope, and there's no doubt that the Pope is going to be playing a large role in it. But I don't think that anymore. I also used to think the red horse was communism, the black horse was things get expensive, as in capitalism. The pale horse was the Arabs. I don't think that anymore. Again, in process of memorizing Revelation and all these revelations I've got, my attitude, my understanding has changed on a lot of things. And that's a good thing, because the point is not to find the right way and say, to bang our chest and say, oh, I got it all figured out. The point is to find the truth. And in finding the truth, we all have to make changes. Here's one of the changes. Now, if you look up here, I believe that the first seal here where it says the white horse, I don't think that is the Pope. I think that that is an angel from heaven. And it would take me some scriptures to explain that. I'm not prepared to go and explain that, but that, I believe, that's an angel. Likewise, the red horse, that's an angel. The rider on the black horse, all these are angels from God pouring out his judgment upon the people. Not wrath. This is the judgment of God. In other words, as you sow, so also shall we reap, right? So if you look at the white horse, you see he has a bow, and a crowd's given to him. He goes forth conquering to conquer. We believe that that is war. Now, the way I think that this is going to happen, and I'm praying about possibly including a whole new chart on this in the upcoming DVD, which is called 6 Hidden Rapture Verses. I believe that we'll see the fall of America, and the World War III is going to be the longest, bloodiest, most expensive battle of all time until Armageddon, of course. And when it says war here, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about after World War III, and then they probably, no guarantees on this, but probably the conclusion of World War III is going to be a peace treaty. A lot of people believe that that signing of the peace treaty would be the confirming of the covenant, and that does make the most sense, although we don't know for certain, absolutely certain at this point. But probably that's what happens. And then the red horse comes forth, and there's more war. So we see war, black horse, things get very expensive. The pale horse, there's a lot of folks killed. This is probably the killing of the Christians and anybody else, by the way, that doesn't want to go along with the New World Order. Okay, so we see that the 7 seals play over 7 years. Now let's look at the 7 trumpets. What the Lord spoke to my heart is that these play over 7 months. Well, how do you know that's true? Well, one of the ways we know that's true is right here in the 5th trumpet. The locusts are told that they can torment, not kill, but torment people on earth for 5 months. So we have the word months actually mentioned in one of the trumpets. But one of the other ways, as I explained in the other DVD that I talked about, that I used to think that these seals, trumpets, and vials all played about the same year. In other words, it was first seal, first trumpet, first vial, all playing about the first year. And then the 222, 333, and so on like that. But that wasn't correct. And here's where I saw that. And if we want to get the truth from God, what I've discovered is if you want to hang on to a lie, if you want to hang on to your understanding, then God is perfectly happy to let you hang on to that. And it was not until I looked down and I saw what I'm about to show you here that I had made a mistake and repented of that God showed me the truth. And so the folks with the pre-trib rapture understanding, he's happy to let them stay in that until they repent and say, Lord, I want to know the truth. Show me the truth. Then he shows them the truth. Right here's where I discovered. Right here, if you look here, it says, the sea became blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. And these 2 vials means all drinkable water on earth is gone. Okay, so this is 2nd vial, 3rd vial. If that is taking place over here in the 1st and 2nd year, how can mankind live some 5 years on the earth with no drinkable water? In other words, the sea, the underground aquifers, and all of the rivers are all undrinkable. How can they live? Now, you may be saying, wait a minute. Just because it says they turn to blood doesn't necessarily mean they're undrinkable. Yes, it does. And I heard the angel of waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art and wast and shall be, for thou hast judged thus. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. So yes, it is talking about all drinkable water on earth is gone. That can't happen with 5 more years. But 5 more days, yeah, okay, 5 more days and it's up. So that's one of the reasons we think that the 7 vials here play over 7 days. Now, the 5 months torment. One of the things that I'm going to be showing in this new DVD is a totally new understanding of the last 7 events just before Jesus returns. At least I've never heard anybody talk on it, and I'd never heard it, and I'd never had this understanding. So if somebody else got it, God gave it to them, then great. But it's totally new for me, and as far as I'm concerned of in the world of Bible prophecy. One of the things that I saw is right here. So let's look at this. 5 months, the locusts get to torment. They don't get to kill people. It's just a torment. One of the things that I saw in here is when you read about the first fruits and how they're resurrected, it's 144,000 sealed, and they stand on Mount Zion with Jesus. Now, those are not the Christians. The Bible specifically says 144,000, and the qualifications are this. These are they which follow the Lamb wherever he goeth. These are they that are not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they that are the first redeemed of the earth, and the first fruits unto the God, and I'm not quoting right, to God and to the Lamb. And these are they, have no guile in their mouth, and they are without fault before the throne of God. It never said anything about being Christians. So when it says the first fruits, and I think that's the correct word to call them, it's not the dead in Christ. These are the first fruits. We see them standing here at about the 6 months, at the earliest 5 months. How do you know that? Because it says, the whole point was, and I saw, when he opened the 5th seal, I saw a star fall from heaven. To him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit. And there rose the smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And out of the smoke there came locusts upon the earth. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, nor any tree, nor any green thing, but only those men which have the seal of God, or have not the seal of God on their foreheads. So if these guys are sealed specifically so that the locusts won't sting them. That tells you that they're there before the locusts are released, on about or in that same ballpark. Well, the locusts have 5 months, so at the very longest, that would have to be happening at the last 5 months, so that's somewhere in 5 or 6 months before Jesus returns. So the first fruits, let me ask you this. What does first fruits mean? Does that mean that that's the second thing that is harvested, or the third thing that's harvested, or the first thing? Okay, so if these are the first fruits unto God, then how was anyone raptured before then? Let me say it again. If these are the first fruits unto God, how was anyone raptured before then? If there was anyone raptured before them, before that 144,000, then those can't be the first fruits. So in that the Bible clearly calls them first fruits, these are the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. They are the first ones resurrected, which means nobody comes out of the ground until then. And it specifically tells you how many? 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. So these are the first fruits. That is the first group of the people that come out of the ground. Those are the first fruits unto God. Now, then we see the 5 months of torment. Then after that, we see the 200,000 horsemen. Now, these are the guys that kill people. They kill roughly 1/3 of the people on the earth, and they kill them with fire, smoke, and brimstone. But the Bible says that their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for the tails were like unto serpents, and they had heads. Now, I think that that's like a sock with a rock in it. In other words, these are horses with men on them, and they go around, and this horse breathes out fire, smoke, and brimstone and kills people. And also on the other end, it has like a sock and a rock that quack. So, I mean, they are killing 1/3 of mankind. Why is this? Because at this point, we're down to the last 60, maybe even 30 days before Jesus returns. Now, actually, when I say Jesus returns, I should say Armageddon, because he's actually already returned here up in the fourth, or in the fifth trumpet, fifth trumpet, someplace in there, because it says in chapter 14, and I looked, and lo, there stood upon the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having their father's seal in the foreheads. So there they are upon the Mount Zion. So that's the first fruits. And that happened someplace in the 6th month, at the very earliest, the 5-month point before Armageddon. But Jesus has already returned. He's already pulled the first fruits out of the ground. They're out of the ground roughly 6 months. Yes, I know. This is rattling some cages. But when you memorize the book of Revelation, you spend a lot of time reading and studying, and you seek the Lord, then he shows you things. And that's what I'm bringing you. So I'm bringing you some different stuff today. So let's back out here again. So, in summary, the 7 seals play over 7 years. The 7 trumpets play over 7 months. And then the 7 vials play the last 7 days. Now, let me say a couple of things about that, and then we'll close. First vial means roughly we have 7 days left. Well, what does that mean? 7 days till Jesus returns? No, he's already returned 6 months earlier. But it's 7 days until it is done. 7 days until the door shuts. When the virgin's door is shut, how many people are allowed in? Meaning, how many people get saved? Answer, no one. So this is 7 days left until the everlasting gospel is concluded. The door is shut. It is done. Those that are unjust, let them be unjust still. Those that are filthy, let them be filthy still. Those that are righteous, let them be righteous still. Those that are holy, let them be holy still. In other words, no one else falls away. No one else gets saved. And at that point, the judgment is set. The books are open. The beast is slain. Jesus has returned, and it's time for the judgment seat of Christ. If you look out here on the right side in the blue, the judgment seat of Christ, marriage supper of the Lamb. We get white robes, white horses. All of this is associated with when we which are alive and remain. That's after Armageddon. That's another talk we'll get into. Judgment is set, books are open, great white throne, and then up here the judgment seat of Christ takes place. All of that is associated with it is done. That's associated with the books are open. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life is cast into the lake of fire, which burneth with fire and brimstone. So we see here the first vial is 7 days are left. Then second and third vial, all drinkable water on earth is removed. Then the sun novas, gets 7 times hotter, according to Isaiah 30, verse 26, and the sun scorches men with fire. Then the flames go out, and the seat of the beast is full of darkness. So when the sun goes out, how much longer does mankind have to live? Well, according to the very longest of the best of the scientists, they say at the maximum 2 weeks. Well, apparently it's not any longer than that, because here it's saying 3 days. There's 3 days left. Sun goes out and becomes black as sackcloth of hair. And the heaven rolls back like a scroll. The stars of heaven fall as a fig tree, casting forth its untimely figs. Wind is shaken of a mighty wind. The heaven rolls together like a scroll. Every island and mountain is moved out of its places. The mountains are not found. In another place it says that. So that's all when the sun flames out. Then Armageddon, this star, the morning star, is used, and it destroys the armies of the earth. Euphrates River is dried up. The devils gathered the kings of the armies. And then we come in here to Armageddon, as in it is done. And the Armageddon, the day of the Lord, is 1 evening and 1 morning. I think it's Isaiah 17:40, something like that. Isaiah 17:14, I believe it is. 1 evening and 1 morning. So let's back out and look at this. In summary here, the 7 seals play over 7 years. 7 trumpets play over 7 months. The 7 vials play over 7 days, and this is only part, matter of fact, a small part, of what I'm going to be covering in my new DVD that is called 6 Hidden Rapture Verses, and I plan to be making that March 17th. Love to have you come to the meeting. If you can't come to the meeting, be sure and get the DVD. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you. We do appreciate your gifts of support. God bless.